Hi, everyone. I wanted to touch on a little bit about what we're currently going through, a little bit about current times, which I usually don't feel that driven or pulled towards, for example, commenting on all the current events. But as someone who is deeply invested and cares about human growth, human development, consciousness, evolution, that also connects to those things on the collective level. And so, and obviously those two things connect to one another. Individual, collective consciousness, our evolution, the collective evolution, those things affect the other. And so from that perspective, I want to offer another perspective that I don't think we're hearing enough of right now. And that's really the concept of how do we accept where others are at? How do we accept differences, autonomy, authenticity, diversity of belief, thought, action, personal choice, lifestyle, morals, beliefs? I want to bring this up because right now there's an increase of pressure on what feels like two sides of what to do in response to our current pandemic. It's a very binary response, very black and white, this way or that way. The two sides are also being pointed at each other, whether they're even meaning to or not, and that's happening within each sides. So I want to invite us to step back even further and get more of a meta perspective, if you will, around if we were to really look down on Earth, look down on us and what's happening while remaining connected to our own perspective. How can we do both? And we're so capable of doing both. How to see the world through our own lens and perspective, but also see the bigger picture, right? And so much of what's being talked about, given airtime, emphasized is very much a one-sided or even two-sided perspective. But what about a multi-perspectival perspective, approach, scenario? How can we see things with more nuance, more subtlety, more complexity, more option? And that happens more so from a centered, grounded, also more heart-centered space. As many of you know, when we get into a fight or flight type response, a reactionary type mood or mindset, things become black and white. They become more binary. It's how we're conditioned. It's also literally how the brain works. It's two hemispheres. It veers naturally towards this or that. But there's other options that are outside of that way of thinking, outside of just that mental outlook or perspective or approach on everything. And that is, again, these more complex, nuanced ways that if we include other ways of being, and that is using the rest of our senses, our intuitive insight, our heart center, our feelings, our gut instinct, all of these other ways that we are built with. What if we were to include those with the mind and really utilize all of those as we look at what's possible here? And so I want to bring that up because it can get really scary and dangerous and tense when we're given two options, right? You either, for example, put something in your body or you don't put something in your body. You either wear a mask, you don't wear a mask. It's right or wrong. You're on that side, I'm on this side. And it's dangerous because it's a dividing technique. It's the root of negative forces underneath human civilization that have been going on for decades, for eons, is this pressure, this righteousness around one school of thought over the other. We've created wars over this. We're continuing to do this in our personal relationships, within ourselves, this mechanism of what's right and what's wrong, rather than what are all of the possibilities here? Perhaps there's some rightness and wrongness and in between, up, down, all around, within it all. What if we were to include more of that? How can we relate and connect and see outside of that? How can we not feel this pressure to decide and then act from this righteous place? When we step back and we consider our feelings, others' feelings, the collective feelings, different possibilities, we get more options. We get to see more. And so one way to do that is when you feel yourself jumping to a conclusion, to a reacting, that's a more automated, primal, animalistic brain response, which is okay. If you notice that, that's okay. But to bring awareness of that and to take a few deep breaths, to try to regulate your nervous system, to get grounded, to care for your feelings, your responses, the thoughts, the beliefs, all of the things that might be rushing through your awareness in that moment, how to slow it down so that you can create just enough space so that you can choose how to respond instead of react. And I just really want to invite all of us to do that, because we could easily this is already trying to happen, but we can easily be divided through these more primal reactionary states that in crisis, in heightened states or heightened current events, we're gonna have feelings, we're gonna have needs and wants, very important feelings, needs, wants, beliefs, thoughts. All of those are valid, but to take a moment to really honor those and to honor those in others and to just leave room for more option. And it's also about acceptance of, well, what am I feeling in response to everything? What am I needing? And how can I accept where I'm at? How can I accept where others are at? And just being there, that possibly that's enough. And possibly that's really the most human, compassionate, and possible option here. That we can't always decide to do the same thing. That's homogenous. That's a homogenous mindset. That's a homogenous approach or culture. That's not who we are as humans. We're beautifully diverse. We're beautifully authentic. How can we nurture more of that? How can we connect through that instead of these two options or the one option. It's not going to happen. And so there's a way of noticing that when that's being triggered in a way, when you're not able to accept others, when you feel a want, a need, or desire to control others, or to control an outcome, to control yourself. If you feel that urge, you know there's not acceptance going on. And as we all know by now, we can't control others. We can't control outside circumstances, but we can control ourselves. And trying to control not only hurts ourselves, but it deeply hurts others. I know from experience, it sucks. Whether we mean to do that or we don't mean to do that. There's reasons why we have that response. How can we look deeper at what are those causes within ourselves that make us prone to wanting to do that? And some other ways, some kind of hidden ways that control comes out is judgment, shaming, coercing, convincing. Those are kind of hidden ways that of hidden attempts of controlling others or our environment. So I just wanted to highlight that and also really bring this perspective, this option, this potential of true acceptance and true unity, connection through the multiplicity of who we are, of who others are, of what our world looks like and is, the reality of our world, and how to grow more into that beautiful complexity rather than remaining connected, whether intentionally or not, remaining so rooted in these more frankly, destructive, hurtful, harmful ways of dividing, of judging, of criticizing, of force. These are the roots of war, racism, hate. So this is a dangerous tendency or kind of energy, I guess is a way of describing it, that is in the air right now. But we can actively transition through that, transform through that, transmute it by really looking within first. And how can we really process what's coming up for ourselves and create more choice as to how we honor and appreciate and respect and give room for all of these other perspectives. That there are so many personal choices out there, and everyone has different reasons why. We can't assume why someone thinks the way they do, believes the way they do, acts the way they do, decides to do something or not. We can never assume that. We can only accept and respect that, or we can resist it, fight it, and create more tension, create more division, and that's the last thing any of us want deep down. I truly know that and truly believe that. Those first initial reactions, they're reactions, and they're real too, but deep down, I know at the foundation of all of us, no matter our background, experience, our history, deep down, we are interconnected and we do care and we want to feel connected. Not codependent, but connected. There's a big difference. So I hope that, just inviting us to consider that and sending you all so much love wherever you are, however you're feeling, just sending you lots of love. And thanks for listening.